guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Leaving Him Was the Biggest Mistake of My Life. And a big shout out to Pablo for sending me this story. And guys, this story is definitely one where the guy who gets royally screwed early on comes out on top. This story is written by a woman, and she is, just like the title says, singing the blues, looking for a whole lot of pity for her royally screwing over a really good guy. You're going to see in this story, guys, how this guy and this gal make the mistake that so many people do of getting married, in my opinion, way too early, and things going down south real quick because of his career. You're going to see this guy is a really skilled guy when it comes to, I guess, computer animation. And after graduating college and all that, he was looking for his big break, a job out in California, and getting that line of work. And so early on, he was having a hard time finding jobs, and she was a teacher, and she was taking care of all the bills. And things were getting really tight, even though she was very supportive initially. And eventually, there was a lot of tension and frustration, and she started cheating. And even though this guy was having a hard time finding his work and getting that job that he wants, and money was tight, he was still very good to her and all that. And she started cheating. Well, things went to hell in a handbasket, but you're going to see, ultimately, things work out well for him, and things don't work out well for her. And there's a lot of important things in this story, guys. One of the important things is this, is that for you young guys out there that have great goals and aspirations, whether it be to get a great job at a big company and move up, or you want to start your own business and you have to really be on your grind for a while, just like all businesses are, especially in the beginning, it's not a good idea at that point in your life to be married or have a serious girlfriend. And the reason is this, is that no matter how much of a good thing you have with her and how supportive she may be, she still is going to want your time and energy. And it is very hard to be completely focused on making something yourself, especially in those early years in your 20s, and you're trying to keep her happy. I mean, good luck there. Because even if she's the coolest girl in the world, she's still going to want to spend time with you and have your attention and have you take her places and all that. And a guy on his grind and his mission is better off being alone, especially during those crucial years when he's building up, in the company or the company he's building. And also, if money is tight and you're struggling you're putting in your time, you're paying your dues, and money's tight because it isn't coming in right now, you start a new business, and you got a wife or girlfriend who's taking care of all the bills, it's not going to be long before she's going to start getting really pissed off that she's taking care of everything. And understandably so, as you're going to see in the story, and I'll get into that more. So it's always better just for a guy early on, no girlfriends, no attachments, so he can focus completely on his career, all that. Later on in life, that's what he wants to do. He can get a girl. It's not a problem. But you're also going to see, guys, how a lot of these gals in these stories, instead of communicating or maybe ending a bad situation, they cheat. And, well, life comes back to bite them in the butt. And this is definitely a good story of that. So, the intro was long enough, but I had a lot to say, a lot on my mind today. So, it starts off, and she says here, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes the green you see is actually the sewage caking up in the distance. I met my ex-husband, Dave, 6 years ago in college. We were both 22, and to say the sparks flew immediately would be an understatement. Within 2 years of dating, he asked me to marry him, and I said yes. Smack! Too freaking early. And only known her 2 years? No. Dave is smart, funny, and extremely creative man. He majored in digital animation and aspired to be his own words, the digital Walt Disney. He had a way of explaining the worlds he created and the characters in his mind with such detail that he left you with wonder. He had a singular focus to find a work in his profession after he graduated. But getting into show business in and itself is hard, let alone animation. A fact that we'd find out soon in married life. So, she's with a very driven, ambitious, talented young guy. And that probably attracted her to him. And that's awesome. Good for him. The problem is, now they're married. And women in that age range eventually want to start moving along in life for the life goals and all that. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Meanwhile, he's struggling to get his foot in the door in this industry. And a guy like that will eventually have his break. But it can take time. And when money's tight, it's not good. This is why he's better off alone, not attached. We uprooted from our home state of Washington and went south to California to be closer to Hollywood. I studied education and became a school teacher. He took on odd jobs and freelance animation projects to try and get his foot in the door with any of the big animation studios. For the first couple of years, I accepted that it was how it was trying to break into the business. But over time, my optimism turned to pessimism. LA is not cheap, and getting by on a teacher's salary and what he made from a few gigs, he wasn't going to sustain us long term. I started to get impatient and with his lack of progress. My patience soon developed into resentment, and it trickled down to every aspect of our marriage. I can't blame her if it was pretty much all on her to be responsible for the bills. I can't blame her, but she did go into this. I'm sure he made her aware, hey, it's going to take a little time. You need to be patient. Money's going to be tight. Okay, but still, that's tough on anybody, and I get that. Really, I do. But if you're not happy, you communicate. You work things out. You don't do what she's about to do. 3 years into it continued like this. Just when it looked like he might catch his big break, nothing happened. Yet he pleaded with me that he just had to stick to his plan, that his hard work would pay off. I could see it with all the bills we were barely keeping at bay. During this stretch, our relationship started to fall off. And when I say fall off, I mean like tumble off the edge of a bottomless chasm. Dave's dream was becoming my nightmare, and I just couldn't stand being around him at times. Every walking moment, he'd be working on what he called I called stupid projects. Yes, we went and had dates, we met friends and hang out with them. But Dave's failure to launch his career in animation was taking a toll on me. So this has been 3 years of this, but it sounds like after 1 year, she was already done. And it got worse and worse and worse. It takes time to get where you want to be. Okay? And right here. And you can see how trying to keep her happy and all that, extremely hard. Now, people could say, well, what would he do if he didn't have her? What he probably would have done is probably gotten together with a bunch of guys and stayed in an apartment, maybe guys like him or something. He would have found a way, and he would, literally, a guy like this driven, probably would sleep in his car to save money and just do interviews and whatever he could to survive to get his big break. That's what an ambitious guy would do, anything to make it happen. So I think he would have done this the same without her. But regardless, this is tough on her, and I get that, but she did know going into this. But it's just not a good idea, a driven, ambitious guy starting off to have that kind of a commitment that early in his life. Bad idea. And you can see this. I keep hitting home here, but for you young, ambitious guys, better you don't have a girlfriend. Focus on yourself and your career. You can get a chick later when you're established. They don't want to be around when you're on your grind. They want you, let's be honest here, when you are successful. It is what it freaking is. And you can't have her holding you back. Your purpose is more important than some chick. Anyway, I'm in one of those moods, guys. I'm going to talk and speak my fucking mind, and especially when a gal gets in the way of a man's mission and purpose. Every waking moment, he's working on stupid projects, blah, blah, blah. I decided to take out my frustration by hitting the gym, and hit it I did. Between 2008 and 2019, I was in the gym religiously when not working. That's where I met Kevin. Kevin is a LA native, a California boy through and through. When I started, I wasn't in completely bad shape, which is why I think Kevin took an interest in me. It initially started with some idle banter, as it always does. As I made progress in my gains, his attention became more and more focused. Translation, her body's looking better, so he's paying more attention to her. I know what he was up to, but I didn't stop it from happening. I was so dissatisfied with my life with Dave that I welcomed Kevin's attention. Not cool. She wasn't happy. Communicate with Dave or end it. Don't go flirting with Kevin the Cali boy. Dave took notice to how much my body was changing and was deeply appreciative of it. But I stopped reciprocating that affection. I started to look at his with utter disdain, and in hindsight, I knew he didn't deserve that from me. I denied him affection and intimacy, which was a horrible, disgusting thing to do to him. But it wouldn't be the last. As the months progressed, things between Kevin and I picked up. Pretty soon, I was going to see him outside the gym. We were going on full-on dates. I would lie to Dave by telling him I wasn't going to hang out with friends. I was going to hang out with friends from work. but instead I would go to spend evenings at Kevin's place. And yes, those evenings would be spent doing more than just watching TV and trading workout tips. Dave was in no way cognizant of my cheating, though he was well aware that I was unhappy with how things were going between us. But he toiled away trying to make me happy, doing everything he could to try and fix us, and I gave him nothing but indifference. Yeah. Lady, all you had to do is just end it. Keep your honor, you know? Dave is trying really hard. He's trying hard for his own goals, but he's also trying hard for you. She was done. Guys, women don't want to struggle with you on your path to greatness. They want to be there when you're already great. They may initially be supportive, assuming you're going to get your big break, but as many of you guys have learned in your life experience, it takes time to get where you want to be. When I told Dave I wanted a divorce in August 2019, it hit him like a truck. I told him that I could no longer wait for his dream to come true. I wanted to start a family, ding, 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 and that where we were financially, emotionally, and mentally, I would never have that with him. He begged and pleaded for me not to do that. Smack. No begging and pleading. He kept asking me why and how could I do this to him. A part of me did feel bad because I knew I was leaving him for Kevin, but I believed in my head this was what I needed. She thinks she's going to have a family with her chattered Tyrone lover Kevin. Doesn't work that way. Dave is the guy that you can have a family with. It's just going to take a little more time. But she's done with the struggle. We were still in our mid-20s. He could bounce back from this. We just weren't meant to be. Those were the excuses I told myself. As we lived in California, I decided I wasn't going to destroy him in the divorce. All I wanted was for half of what I brought into the marriage. We were living in a one-bedroom apartment with no real assets to our name, so there wouldn't be much to get in the first place. Meanwhile, he, our friends, and our families had no clue about Kevin. Kevin, however, didn't know I was married and on the rocks. It was he himself that convinced me to leave Dave for him. So when a lot of you guys think that these chatter Tyrones that cheat with these girlfriends or wives are blameless and don't deserve anything, if they know darn well that the girl they're hooking up with is married or has a boyfriend, they're guilty too. Absolutely. But you know what? Even though Dave is hurt by this and everything there, you're going to see a man has a choice when hard times come. He can either let it crush him or use it to push forward and say F you to the hard times and come back stronger. And guess what Dave is going to do? By November 2019, I was divorced from Dave and slowly inched my way to being with Kevin full time. By that time, COVID hit California full stop. I realized how much of a horrible choice that was. Hanging out with Kevin and living with him were two completely different things. I won't go into detail, but it dawned on me how much I truly missed the things Dave would do that Kevin did not. Like the little doodles Dave would draw on his Post-its and leave in spots I knew that he knew I would find. Or how he'd always bring me food when I was grading papers. It's all the little things that started to build up. I also came to the realization that in terms of the sex, newer isn't necessarily better. There were things that Dave knew about me sexually that Kevin never even bothered trying to learn. Because Chatter Tyrone doesn't care about your needs, he cares about his needs. When we hooked up, that's exactly it. We hooked up. There was never any lovemaking, never entertaining moments spent together. And now I was quarantined with him. The first couple months, I told myself this was right. But by June 2020, the revelation that the effed up royalty began to sink in. But this was around the time that I'd also let the cat out of the bag, that I moved into a new relationship to everyone. As you expect, Dave was crushed. He sent me a long email talking about how he was deeply hurt by the idea that I moved on just 6 or so months, but ultimately he just wanted me to be happy. Guys, I'm sure you're well aware from your own personal experiences and stories I cover. A lot of times when a woman breaks up with a guy, number one, she's done completely. She's been done for a while before she broke up with you. And two, she already has a replacement. Because most women cannot be alone. And they got their replacement, they can just whoosh, no problem. Because so many guys are always shocked when the woman moves on so quickly, when they don't understand she was done a long time ago and already had your replacement or replacements. Multiple. Lined up and ready to go when she walked out. But you know what? This is nice here because you can see very quickly she realized that her Chatter Tyrone boyfriend, Kevin, ain't doing the nice things that she used to like from Dave. It continues. I wanted so much to come clean to him about everything then and there, but I knew I couldn't. I cheated on him for months, lied to him, and then left him for another man, essentially. I couldn't bring myself to doing that to him, but it tore my soul apart reading his words, knowing now that my own selfishness cost me this beautiful soul. All because I just couldn't sit down, shut up, and wait for his plan to come into fruition. Fate, it seems, isn't without a sense of irony, though, as just a couple months later after that email, I came to find out that Dave had partnered up with two other freelancers that he worked with on the past projects to start their own studio. Yes, good for Dave. Went into business for himself. And sure, anybody can say, yeah, anybody can go into business for themselves. Doesn't mean they have business. Well, guess what? Turns out Dave and his partners did get business. Dave could have let this crush him and given in to alcohol and drugs and all that. Oh, no. Our man here, a guy on his purpose, kept on grinding. And now he joined up with other guys to start their own business. That's how it's done, guys. This is what he should have done initially. He shouldn't have gotten married. He shouldn't have had a girlfriend. He should have, the second he graduated college, got in that car, went out to LA, if that was the place it had to be, and found a way he could focus 100%, not having to deal with any women whining about this or that or whatever, the future, and focus on that. Look at all the shit he went through, but one could argue maybe it took her divorcing him and breaking his heart to push him to say, I'm going to make this happen no matter what, and I'm going to show her. Who knows? Started his own studio. With the mass exodus from Los Angeles, finding office space for the studio wasn't hard at all, and they could still work from home if they wanted. Awesome. I also found out through a mutual friend of his that they put out their first project that was going viral on the internet. Success is the best revenge. Finding this out made me feel like utter shit. Too bad, honey. Here I was believing me leaving him for Kevin was setting me free, when it was the opposite. He was the one set free from a selfish, demanding bitch of a wife. Now, I understand the pressure was on her with paying all the bills and all that. I get that's tough. Really, I do. But she understood that going into the marriage, who she was with a very driven, ambitious guy. Guy like that, give him time, he's going to have success. Okay? Believe me, I know guys that are very driven individuals, and they aren't going to let anything get in their way, and they're going to make something happen. It could take time, but it will. Never ever doubt a guy that's smart, has a great skill, and is relentless in his goals to make something happen. That guy will succeed. It may take him a while, but he will get there. As will any of you guys if you follow those principles. Kevin and I ended up splitting up almost a year to the day that I told Dave I wanted a divorce. Shocker. August 2020. The whirlwind romance we had ended with a small breeze. Months of being with each other showed that we were good as F-buddies, but not as a couple. I ended up moving into my own place a month later, and that's where I've been ever since. Watching as Dave pieces his life back together and mourning the life I willingly killed. I look at his ArtStation profile often, and it's once of his shares from today that really gutted me. The title of the piece was My Muse, and it was a fully rendered illustration of a female portrait, highly detailed with a watermark labeled for Cassandra 21. That's what he used to call me when he'd do portraits of me, his muse. Whoever Cassandra is, she clearly picked up all the pieces of Dave I left broken. I click on one of the tags, and lo and behold, she's also a digital artist and is just as talented as Dave is. So not only in my absence did he find the focus to start his own studio, but he also found a woman that shares his creative nature more than I ever possibly could. Well, good for him. And it makes sense this guy's with a chick who's into the same line of work and has the same passion for that. I will take the regret I feel for hurting Dave and walking away from him to my grave. Seeing that drawing prompted me to make this post after lurking this sub anonymously for months. How could I have been so stupid, stubborn, and blind? I don't know if there's even anything to gain posting this. I can never have him back, and even if he hadn't moved on, he'd never take me back if he had found out the truth. I just hurt him so much, and I miss him. I chose to leave him for what I thought was a better option when there was never any comparison after that fact. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Too freaking bad. You got what you deserved. My own selfish needs cost me the love of my life, and I'm left to reflect and learn from this. And I will. I'm well aware hitting post, I'm opening myself up to be crucified. It's not any worse than what I already put myself through every day. I've been going to therapy the last couple of months to try and cope with the feelings overall, but this one bites like a snake. He was my friend, my hero, and my first real love. But I allowed my own insecurities on what I believe marriage should be to drive me away from him into the bed of another man who turned out to be nowhere close to the man Dave was. And now I fear I'll never find love like that ever again. I just need somewhere to go to get this off my chest. Yeah, that guy was amazing to her. Again, money was tight and that's stressful, and I get that, believe me, I do, and it was on her. But that guy was great to her during this whole time, and he was going to find it eventually. I mean, he was young. It takes time to establish yourself and get your foot in the door. But now this guy's going to thrive. It sounds like he's already thriving. His studio, he may do something amazing. And he may get bought up at one of the major studios. And next thing you know, he's a multi-millionaire. If only she just waited. But you see the bullshit pressure of society, and people get in their heads, things have to be this way, got to rush and do this, get married, we're married, now we got to have kids, now we got the house, we got to do this. An ambitious young guy cannot have these attachments. No. Establish yourself, then get a chick later on if that's what you want to do. Because this will only get in your way. And women that want to be with ambitious, driven young guys need to understand it's going to take some time. It really does. It says also, to anyone who has ever wondered or made mention of it in comments, even those that have been removed, I have no intention of trying to win him back or even interacting with him. He's happy, healthy, and has found himself a woman for far more deserving of his love than I ever could be. When the current school year is up and the lease is done on the current apartment, I intend on submitting my resignation to the school I work for and moving back north to Spokane. There'll be thousands of miles between us and zero chance of me ever running into him as his parents have relocated to Northern California themselves. He will never have to see or speak to me ever again. As for me and my romance, I think it's best I'll be alone for a little while. I'm 27 years old and still have time to find love and start a family. I need to work on myself first. I'll find a new therapist when I go back home and continue the process of sorting out my baggage. Lady, you don't need a therapist. Just don't be an impatient, selfish asshole. There you go. Problem solved. You got that for free. Don't be an impatient, selfish asshole. And don't let society and your mom and friends pressure you to move fast. You had a great guy. And you blew it. But you know what? What's done is done. If she learned something, great. And she's 27. She's good looking. Got a good body. She can get a dude. And if she does, don't fuck it up. And if he's a driven guy, because you're probably going to be attracted to guys like Dave, you got to be patient. Give him time. But anyhow, guys, that'll be a good one here to show. You give it time, you see what happens here. But again, I can't stress this enough for you young guys out there that are ambitious, or even if you're not young, say you're middle-aged, you decide you want to do something and you're single now. You need to be on your own. You can't have any attachments, girlfriend, wife, or stuff like that when you are busting your butt, dedicating freaking 15 hours a day, 6 days a week to your purpose, trying to build up a company or rise in the company you're in. It's just going to get in the way, because no matter what, no matter how cool of a girl you may have and how supportive she is initially because she believes in you and thinks you have potential, she still wants your time. Okay? And when you're an entrepreneur, time is unbelievably valuable. And so that day that she wants you, you could be taking care of this, and this. That time that she wants to talk to you on the phone, text with you when you're not together, that type of shit gets in the way of your purpose and mission. So if you're young now watching this and you've got a great idea to start a business, or you've started a business, or you're in school, or whatever it is you're trying to really establish yourself, especially because I'm speaking to the younger guys that are starting off in the world, save the romance for another day. Put your all in when you're young and you got the energy. You can get a chick later on in life. That's no problem. And they do not, a lot of them, they may start off really impressed by your drive and ambition and your talent, but it takes a while to get where you want to be. And very quickly, they can be very frustrated with that and things go bad. That's what I really want to hit home with this particular video. And of course, we got a nice good karma story where the guy was really screwed over and he now has the last laugh. But he's probably such a good guy, he probably doesn't want to have the last laugh on her. He probably wishes her well and has moved on. Because now he's successful, he's on the rise, and he has a chick that is obviously into the same thing. So good for Dave, whoever Dave may be out there. Now I want to know who he is and what his studio is and all that. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below on what you think about this. And, guys, you got a great story like to share, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get it to, and I definitely will down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.